Hey, happy Monday. It's April 21st, day 2 of the Daily Octane, my return to making videos again because of all the nonsense that's going on in the world right now. And I am bringing you my insights on a couple of big stories that are happening in the world over the last 24 to 48 hours. The big one is Pete Hegseth. In case you don't know, which I'm sure if you're finding me here on political talk, social media, you already know who this man is. Former Fox News correspondent, weekend only correspondent. He was actually confirmed as the Secretary of Defense of the United States, the top man in the U.S. military in charge of the defense of our country, embroiled in another scandal. This is very similar to the one that he had a month ago, in which it was revealed, if you could say, that he was part of a group chat on a social media messaging platform called Signal. I personally have never used it. From the sound of it, a lot of people do. It is supposedly an encrypted app which allows for you to send messages that can't be read by others. But let's be honest, we are in the year 2025, where Russian and Chinese hackers are incredible. And this scandal that happened a month ago was actually not started by him. It was started by somebody else in the Trump administration. But regardless, somebody made the mistake of inviting the contributing editor of The Atlantic onto the group chat, in which really classified information was sent over this app, explaining exactly when planes were taking off, when bombs were being dropped in Yemen. It was really, at the end of the day, quite an alarming event that really shined a light on just what a careless human being not only Pete Hegseth is, but other members in his orbit that thought it was a good idea to share this kind of information, not only with members of the actual U.S. military and the cabinet level officials, but also with accidentally given, but still a member of the press that was in that meeting. So, obviously this scandal was a big deal. The Trump administration went into full alarm mode and tried to push back and said, hey, this is no big deal. There's absolutely no reason to be upset about this. It's just a mistake, yada, 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 right? And then we fast forward. And of course, Teflon Don, nothing sticks to Donald Trump for whatever reason. Very few people on the right, the Republican Party, very few people pushed back. Some obviously did, but definitely not enough. Well, fast forward. Here we are again. Over the weekend, it is revealed through leaks that there was actually another Signal chat, in which this time Pete Hegseth had started the chat. And in this one was not only his wife, his brother, and also his personal lawyer, along with a number of other members that were actually in, part of the Pentagon. Now, his brother does work in the Pentagon, but he is not in a situation where he needs to know about sensitive, classified U.S. military happenings. In addition, his wife, Pete Hegseth's wife, is a former managing editor. I forgot exactly what her title was, but she worked for Fox News. She's also, like him, she's from the broadcasting side of things. And then his personal lawyer has absolutely no reason to be in a classified chat about U.S. military actions in real time. In this chat, Pete Hegseth was talking about what time, or exactly what moment planes were launching from aircraft carriers, what moment they were over airspace in Yemen, and when they were dropping bombs. This is all highly classified information being put out in real time. Not only this time was he using the app that was not authorized, Signal, but in the second instance, in which he started a group chat with his wife, his brother, and his lawyer, he was using his personal phone. Now, I'm not sure. I'm going to show you a video of Pete Hegseth in a second here, but I'm not sure if you've ever watched this man speak before. But certain people, when they talk, you get an idea to a certain extent what their level of intelligence is. Now, when you see this video, you're going to see that this man is not exactly a high-functioning, high-intelligence person. He's a personality. He was on television for many years, and it's very clear that he's comfortable in front of a camera. But that does not an intelligent man make. And for this man to be willing to put this information out on his personal phone, knowing full well that he, like any other American today, could be liable or vulnerable to a hack from a foreign country. I mean, people get text or links in their texts. They get links in emails all the time. Oftentimes, these things have malware built into them in which somebody can actually see the keystrokes on your phone. So maybe the Signal app wasn't hacked, but at the end of the day, there could be a Russian agent, a Chinese agent, a Korean agent, an Iranian agent, anybody that has somehow gotten into Pete Hegseth's personal phone and is able to see and record the keystrokes that he's making, in which case they would see the information that he is sharing with his wife, his brother, and his personal lawyer about actual U.S. military operations in which that information could be weaponized and then turn about a situation in which a U.S. military member, their life could be at risk. And yet this is no big deal. This right here, I'm going to play for you, is Pete Hegseth being interviewed in front of the White House. I don't even want to get into what happened at the White House this past weekend with the Easter egg hunt, but long story short, it was a corporate sponsored event by all the tech giants on the West Coast. And it's never done that before. Of course, under Donald Trump, everything is for sale. Who knows where that money went to for the sponsorship, but it certainly went somewhere. But here's Pete Hegseth. Let's see if we can get to the bottom of this. This is them asking questions about this scandal.
You know, what a big surprise that a few leakers get fired and suddenly a bunch of hit pieces come out from the same media that peddled the Russia hoax. Won't give back their Pulitzers. They got Pulitzers for a bunch of lies. Pulitzers for a bunch of lies.
Okay, I'm going to pause that right there because, at the end of the day, they weren't lies. I mean, there was huge congressional committees that were put forth that showed the interactions between the former Trump administration. We're going back to his first presidency here. Interactions between the Trump presidency, the White House under his regime, with communications with Russian agents. This was a large scandal. He was impeached for it. This was not just some witch hunt in the news. He was impeached for it. Not convicted in the Senate, obviously, we know that, but he was impeached for that. Okay, back to this buffoon.
And on hoaxes, time and time and time again. And as they peddle those lies, no one ever calls them on it. See, this is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from...
Also, can we just talk about the fact that even these kids... Let's go back to this. Even these kids behind him, I mean, they also think that he's completely nuts. I mean, okay, anyway, I'm getting lost in the weeds here.
Disgruntled former employees, and then they try to slash and burn people and ruin their reputations. Not going to work with me, because we're changing the Defense Department, putting the Pentagon back in the hands of warfighters, and anonymous smears from disgruntled former employees on old news doesn't matter. So I'm happy to be here at the Easter egg roll with my dad and my kids, because this is what we're doing it for. These kids right here. This is why we're fighting the fake news media. This is why we're fighting slash and burn Democrats. This is why we're fighting hoaxers. This group right here, full of hoaxers.
Okay, I'm incredibly tired of the way in which the Trump administration and other Republican leaders right now, both in the Senate and the House, have weaponized the media and created this culture in which fake news is now part of our vernacular. The news media, journalism is, along with our judiciary and our legislature, so Congress and, all the courts, the media plays an important part in putting a check on unbridled power. We are sitting, as I'm sure you're aware, we are currently sitting in a situation in which the Trump presidency is doing everything they can to undermine those checks and balances in our federal government in order to take an authoritarian control of our government. Now, with that said, there was an op-ed as well that was put out by one of Pete Hegseth's own personal advisors that was also a spokesperson for the Pentagon, who just recently left his job. He was not fired. He left on his own accord. And the reason why he left is because he realized that what was happening in the Pentagon was beyond the pale, that we have a child in charge. You can just see by the way this guy acted. I mean, this is the Secretary of Defense, the most powerful military member of the U.S., appointed to this role by President Trump. And he has absolutely no idea what he's doing. Never mind the fact, and I'm not going to post it right now, but never mind the fact that there is a photo out there of this man shirtless in a pool. He's drunk. We know that. That was even proven in his confirmation hearings. But on his chest, he has a white supremacist tattoo. Why are these people? I mean, and I'm not even going to get into the other people that have been chosen to lead different secretary positions inside the Trump administration. But why? Why is a white supremacist broadcaster from Fox News, who's never served in any actual non-commissioned officer or officer role in the United States military, why is he in charge of the Pentagon? It makes absolutely no sense. And then this man goes out and does things that can very realistically put U.S. service members' lives at risk. And yet there's no outrage. There is no accountability. Now, supposedly, according to some news reporting that's going on right now, that the Trump administration is vetting a replacement for him. But he's on TV right here, interviewed by a number of news organizations and calling the whole thing a nothing burger, as they like to say in Republican politics. And it's just a joke. I'm so tired of it. And the fact that there was a time when scandals were treated as scandals, and if you did something this egregiously bad that put the United States at risk, you would lose your job, and it would happen immediately. Not only would you lose your job, but you wouldn't even get fired for it, because somebody like this would actually have the courtesy to resign, knowing full well that they made mistakes. But this is not the Republican Party today. And it's a shame. It's a shame. Speaking of shames, real quick, and I don't want to make this video too long. I'm already over 11 minutes. We lost Pope Francis this weekend. Now, I'm an atheist. I was raised Catholic, left the church, lost my faith, lost my belief. However, and in the modern world, somebody who was raised Catholic, I can appreciate the liberal and progressive approach that Pope Francis took to the papacy. He was a wonderful pope. He called out the hypocrisy in the Catholic Church. He called out world leaders. And, the really sad thing is that this happened less than 24 hours after he met with J.D. Vance. And I'm not saying there's any correlation there. It's pure coincidence. Of course, I don't think for a second that anything nefarious happened there. But at the end of the day, he had a stroke. And he passed. And, we're going to sit here now and watch the Catholic Church go through their conclave to decide who the next pope is going to be. And my only hope, even as a non-believer, the reality is the Pope has a very influential role across the world. My number one hope is that they choose somebody else that is also progressive and can move the church forward. Not that I want there to be some increase in church attendance or belief structures or any of that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, a progressive liberal church, Catholic Church, is better for all of us than a conservative, more dogmatic, stigmatic type of approach. So that's what I got for you today. I'm working on some ideas for a longer podcast that I may record this weekend. For those of you that have tuned in, yesterday's video, my first one, just kind of saying hello, I'm back. Got quite a few views, and I do appreciate those of you that have watched. I did launch this on TikTok, a brand new channel on TikTok. It's the Daily Octane. Unfortunately, I've only got one view, and that was me. So clearly the TikTok algorithm is not looking to push me. But YouTube, it did pretty well, where I've had several hundred subscribers. So a decent little chunk of them, I think, watched. Bunch of people have watched on Facebook, several hundred views. Thank you very much for those of you that took the time to watch the video, those of you that have stuck to this one. Make sure you're subscribed. If you're interested in this kind of content, I am not going to be strictly news reporting. My goal with this is to bring a more philosophical approach to try to explain what's happening and give you my perspective on the lunacy that's happening in Washington and abroad right now. So once again, if you like what you liked or like what you saw, give me a like, subscribe to the channel. Also, share this with your friends. I'm trying to build an audience. Right now, I am just a lone guy here with a fairly small audience score, and I would really like to increase that so that more people can hear good liberal progressive voices. And we will have more to talk about tomorrow, because I do want to have a conversation about income inequality, wage gaps, and mostly the oligarchy. And I think, barring some other catastrophe tomorrow or today, right now, knock on wood, the news cycle today is just Pete Hegseth. So I will see you tomorrow. Thanks again for watching the Daily Octane. I'm Christopher Hess. This is the Daily Octane, and you're the best for watching all the way through this long ass video. So see you tomorrow. Have a great night.